What if while trying to protect your child, you unknowingly brought harm upon them? In the last few decades, the amount of people that are starting to ask if vaccines are really safe has risen along with the rate of childhood autism. There are people who believe the two topics are linked together, while some believe they're completely unrelated. There are many conflicting opinions on the safety of vaccines and the correlation vaccines have with autism in children. Regardless of the viewpoint, the general public and the health companies must acknowledge that the contents of vaccines need to be more safe and healthy. Whether or not the correlation can be made, the amount of children that are being diagnosed with autism continue to rise every year. It is no secret that the amount of children being diagnosed with autism increased year by year. In 2014, 1 in 45 children were diagnosed with the tragic disorder. More and more children are being diagnosed with autism every year. Omer finds that the cases of autistic children have skyrocketed by stating, in 1992, Ohio reported 22 cases. A decade later, the number had increased 13,000% to 3,000. Some may say that the result of the increase in population would lead to more children being autistic. However, not only are more children being diagnosed with autism, each child has had an extremely high chance of becoming autistic. In a report compiled by Snyder, it was found that as each year passed, the ratio of autistic to non-autistic children dropped significantly. Snyder states that in 2000 and 2002, the autism estimate was about 1 in 150 children. In 2006, the number was 110. In the news data shows from 2008 suggests 1 in 88 children have autism. The harsh truth is hard to ignore. However, are vaccinations really the driving factor of this very increasing rate of child autism? It's when this question is asked when the things get heated. There are two sides to this coin. One side where people firmly believe that vaccinations are safe, and the opposite side where people believe that the very medicine designed to protect them and their families is actually detrimental. Aligning with the later side, many concerned parents truly believe that it is no coincidence that the emergence of autistic behavior occurs at the pivotal point when dozens of vaccines are administered. Snyder sides with this belief by reporting, it's a fact that many children with ASD regarding following normal development just as they were receiving multiple vaccines at a regular doctor visit. Regression usually occurs between 12 and 24 months, though one study found that some children show signs of autism as early as 6 months, but never before that age. By 6 months of age, and most U.S. children have received about 18 inoculations containing 24 vaccinations against 9 diseases. Over the next 2 years or so, they will receive another 9 shots containing 14 vaccines against 12 diseases. So whether a child regresses at 6 months or 18 months, the tragedy happens during a period of intensive vaccination. With the extremely concerned parents usually align with this side. Most health officials tend to believe that the coincidence is exactly that, just a coincidence. Countless studies have been made on the effects vaccinations have on youth, and many of the studies resulted in supposed proven safety of vaccinating your children. In an article titled "Evidence Shows Vaccinations Unrelated to Autism," a study is done tearing apart each section of the vaccination process, trying to find some correlation between vaccinations and autism. Summing up the test, the article states some studies of MMR vaccines compared groups of children who have received MMR vaccines against those who had not. These studies found that neither group was more likely to develop autism. Other studies looked at comparable groups of autistic and non-autistic children. These studies found that autistic children were no more likely to have received MMR vaccines. Health officials and concerned parents have gone back and forth for decades over the safety of vaccinations. What both sides should be able to agree on, however, is the dangers that lurk inside the vaccines, whether or not vaccines themselves actually cause autism. So just what are you putting into your child's body? Many people do not know the answer to that question, and the doctors don't read through the ingredients before administering these vaccines. A common ingredient used to perceive the vaccination actually causes a lot of damage and gives credibility to the so-called conspiracy theorists. This perspective is known as thimerosal. Snyder highlights this component of vaccines in his article by stating, "A prediction from the University of Colorado both concluded that we are responsible for the dramatic rise in cause of autism. The thing that is so malicious about this chemical is that is full of mercury. Mercury is one of the most dangerous materials to the human anatomy known to man. In her article, Kelly O'Mara breaks down the truth about the mercury levels in vaccines. O'Mara reports that the EPA limit is 0.1 micrograms of mercury per kilogram body weight per day. On their day of birth, children are given the hepatitis B vaccine, which is 12.5 micrograms of mercury. The average newborn weighs about 6 and 7 pounds, so that would be allowed 0.3 micrograms of mercury. That's 39 times more than it should be allowed by law. Some people think vaccinations are the cause of autism, while some people think that it's just another conspiracy theory. The ultimate truth is that there are components of vaccinations that are harmful to developing human brains. In conclusion, vaccines need to contain safer substances. The rate of autism in children is rising higher and higher each year, and depending on whom you ask, this could be caused by the ever-increasing amounts of vaccines being administered. Taking a closer look at vaccines, there are dangerous materials inside some that honestly do not need to be there. The safety of vaccinations will probably be a recurring topic for a long time. There's one thing that both sides understand. The presence of mercury and other malicious ingredients inside the vaccines are not good for the human body. Before you vaccinate your child or yourself, research what is really inside each vaccination. Your proactive actions may lead to your child's downfall.